Hey everyone, welcome to The Project. My name is Cassia and I'm here to let you know what to expect over the next hour. In the next few minutes, our band is going to come up and play a few songs. It's not a concert, but something that we here call worship. The songs we've chosen talk about who God is and what He's done for us, so singing them is a way that we can worship Him. So engage in however you'd like. Sit, stand, sing, put your hands up, or maybe for you it's just listen and reflect on the lyrics. Nobody's going to judge you, so just relax and enjoy the time. Every week we go to the Bible, and tonight one of our pastors will share a message based on its truths and how it can apply to our lives today. Afterwards, we'd love to get to know you and hang out. Make sure to visit the info booth in the lobby to get connected and answer any questions that you might have. Thanks again for joining us. We are so excited that you're here. We invite you now to stand as our band begins to play.
Guys, welcome to The Project. When you go and stand with us here.
Leave ways within the future. My dreams are small compared to yours. Or should I worry about tomorrow when I know that all I gotta do is trust you, Lord?
Sing every little thing.
Every little thing's gonna be alright. Every little thing's gonna be just fine. Whether I can see it now, I know you will work it out for good. Every little thing, everything will be alright. Behind the scenes, behind the scenes and in the details, you plan the perfect way for me. Would I dwell upon the roads and certainties? All I gotta do is look to you. Yeah, all I gotta do is look to you. Every little thing's gonna be alright. Every little thing's gonna be just fine. Whether I can see it now, I know you will work it out for good. Every little thing, everything will be alright. Every little thing, everything will be alright. Every little thing, everything will be alright.
Whether I can see,
And whether I can see it now, I know you will work it out for good. And every little thing, everything will be alright. Every little thing, everything will be alright. Every little thing, everything will be alright. I don't know where I'm going, but I know that I'm chasing after you. Never stop. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you. Now I'm caught in the mystery, putting my faith in things unseen. Love is the sweetest, sweetest thing. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you. Glory fills the sky with everything undone. I'm made alive and brighter than the sun. You are here and I am over. Never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you. Never found a love so true. I will never stop loving you.
Well, again, welcome to the project tonight, guys. My name's Brett. I'm one of the pastors here, and I'm just glad that you guys decided to be here on Thanksgiving weekend. Also want to say hey to everyone who's watching online right now. Glad that you guys are tuning in from home as well. But you guys can go ahead and take a seat here, and Jeff's just going to come up with a couple of announcements for you.
Welcome. Hey everyone. Thanks for joining us in person and online. Introduce yourself. Baptism. Right after the service, we got a baptism class in the cafe. This is your chance to learn more about what baptism is, why we do it, and I'm just kidding. Sorry, I've always wanted to do that. I just thought it'd be super awkward and see if anybody's like too scared to laugh, see if I'm serious or not. If it's your first time here tonight, I'm not crazy. My name's Jeff. I'm actually the lead pastor of the project, and want to say welcome to you if you're here for the first person in person or online, and we're super excited to have lots of people with us online. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm assuming that you just already did your Thanksgiving or doing it tomorrow, but we're excited to have you here with us tonight. As I was previously saying super uncomfortably, baptism is coming up. If you haven't been baptized before, what baptism is it's just a public declaration to God and to your friends in your church that you're going to follow Jesus. And it may be weird if you've never been around it to see, like, why would I just want to get dunked in water? It's just symbolic of the old you dying and the new you coming out. Nothing spooky or weird is happening. It's literally a symbolic act. If that's something you want to do, to get dunked, to get baptized, we have a baptism class in the cafe right after the service around 8 o'clock or so. When we're done in here, you can head over to the cafe. Pastor Amanda is going to be leading that which will be awesome to see people get baptized. Now, here's the thing. You're not committing right there. We don't have a tank in there. We're not going to squirt you with water guns and say, oh, you're baptized. Like, you are just having an opportunity to learn a little bit more about what it might mean for you, and then figure out kind of when the next step is, when the class is, when the actual baptism will take place. We do it on video, and then we show it here, and that's always super exciting. So please check that out, or come talk to one of us after, and we'll direct you with more information about that. Who has played spike ball before? Spike ball? Spike ball is a lot of fun. Yeah, we got one guy up top, really likes spike ball. Great. Well, if you like spike ball, we're doing pro sports, actually. If you haven't heard, we have a small group that meets every Monday called pro sports, kind of like intramural sports. You don't have to be amazing at sports. In fact, I've been there. Most of them aren't. No offense, pro sports. But maybe that's my challenge, to come out. Now they're going to destroy me and I'll look terrible. But spike ball is a tournament that we're doing coming up right away here on October 16th. And it's $5 for a pair of two to enter. So if you're a team of two, you have a friend, you think you're the best spike ball player and you can dominate at this and you're going to win, put your money where your mouth is on this one. $5 for a team of two. If you don't have somebody you can pair up with, it's still $5, but you can show up as a single and we'll pair you with somebody. So you're going to want to come to that. $5 on October 16th. That's at Millwoods Park across the street. And you can go to theprojectyeg.com/events for more information on exactly when and where that's going to be. But we hope to see you there. We love hanging out here after the project. That's been one of the strengths of our community here over the last couple of weeks, and we would love to see you stay tonight after. You can even invite a friend. Maybe you have a friend who's not super comfortable with church, wouldn't really respond well to being invited to this space at this time, but you can invite them right now. Get on your phone, text them, hey, we got a poutine food truck coming after the project around 8 o'clock, and we got fire pits, and you can stay as late as you want hanging out there. As long as we can, we're going to have heat and fire and propane heaters, whatever it takes to extend the community outside, even in this COVID season. So we look forward to seeing you after and eating some poutine. They're back by popular demand. These guys are amazing, so you're going to want to try that. Tonight we're continuing our new series, but before Pastor Amanda and John come up, just take a look at this video.
How is it already Thanksgiving? It's kind of freaking me out. I'm not going to talk about like the next holiday that's coming, but still, somehow we're already here in the year. Hopefully get some turkey or pie at some point this weekend. But tonight, so we are in a series called God Is. And last week, Pastor Jeff, he spoke on part 1 of this topic called, How Can I Trust the Church? It's a pretty foundational question, not only for Christians, but also for non-Christians who are like looking at the church on the outside in maybe and being like, should I trust you? Can I trust you? Who are you? So Pastor Jeff, he spent time talking about how, like if we're being honest, there are times where it's actually really, really difficult to trust the church. Because as a whole, the church has messed up. Like it's fallen short in more than one area, and that isn't always okay. But we didn't want to just like leave you there last week. Because the church, it is here for a reason. And we want to talk about the role that it is actually meant to play. Now, when I say church, I actually mean you and me, if you are a follower of Jesus. The church, it's not a building. It is not these 4 walls. It's actually like the church is a body of people all over the world. Like I said, if you are a follower of Jesus. So as the church, you and me, what role are you and I supposed to play? Like, what are we responsible for? How do we practically be the church? What does that entail? So tonight, we're actually going to get into part 2 of the same topic, how can I trust the church? And how this actually involves you guys. So there are 4 different like questions that we're going to work through tonight. And you're actually going to hear from a few different voices tonight. First one being John, our intern. He's speaking tonight. It's very exciting. Yeah, we're pumped for John. Yeah, it's going to be awesome. We also want you guys to hear from each other, like from your peers, and just give some of you the chance to share your own stories and your experiences as you've like wrestled through your own faith, and also what it means for you to be like part of the church in a good way. So let's just get into it with the first one. So check out this first video.
Let's say you found something that you really enjoy. Wouldn't you want to share it with your friends and have them enjoy it too? That is me towards the gospel of the kingdom. When I see all the people around me, all I can see is an infinitely vast God, and we're all just the stroke of His beautiful canvas, and He knows me by my name. He has a destiny for me and for all of us, so why would I keep that to myself? I just love sharing my faith through intentional conversations, playing or singing music with friends, and inviting others to the project and P2C. My only prayer when sharing the gospel is that I must let the Spirit do His work and not for my own ego or pride, and at the end of the day, God's name should be glorified.
I feel like my faith journey so far has been all about love, and I think one of the biggest ways I think I've been bringing Jesus into my community is just by showing love. Here at the project, you meet so many different types of people. You meet people from everywhere, from all different types of backgrounds, and I think one of the biggest things that I've taken away is just get to know people, get to know them as who they are, and be their friend. I personally don't care who you are. I don't care where you come from. I know I lead a photography small group, and I'm like, I don't care if you're good. I don't care if you're bad. I don't care if you don't know what you're doing. Just come and have fun. Come and join us. And I think that's what love is. Love is just getting to know people and getting to know those connections. And I think that's one of the biggest things with community is just building upon that. And I think that's kind of how I've been bringing Jesus into my community.
So I guess the first question that comes to mind is, how can Jesus actually be in our communities? Society today sees Jesus and Christianity as either rejected old beliefs or hyper-conservative individuals who completely hate those who disagree. I mean, there's many other stereotypes and issues where Christianity may not exactly agree with culture, but Christians are still called to live a life by the standards of Christ. And it kind of stands as a defiance to many things, actually, that much of the world chooses to accept. But just as we're met with opposition, we're also met with people. There are individuals who have endured many different experiences. Now, this isn't to say, like, we're completely different from them. It's not a us versus them. But it's a need to actually understand their perspective. And so no matter what experiences that you've been through, no matter what issues you face, what creates the greatest hurt many times is treating someone like there's something you need to fix over a person you need to walk with and talk with. And many times what actually changes people's perspectives is Christians actually talking to somebody, and that actually changes their whole perspective, showing them the love of Christ. And so Jesus is actually our ultimate example. Let me just paint a picture of what that looks like. In ancient times, Jesus lived his life in contrast to the regular reality of the world. This looks like healing people, presenting his life completely different from anyone else. This looked like Jesus healing people and Jesus spending time with people whom the rest of society would completely outcast or see as kind of a background character and not really important. And so Jesus places himself in this spot where he's actually an outcast at this point, or at least seemingly would be. But he in no way is presented as a nobody. He, in fact, was drawing people in from the regular world by his ministry, by his person, not by preaching a rebellion, not by preaching, let's tear down the monarchy, but actually by showing love, showing healing, showing power to those people who would actually accept him. And so today, we live our life with Christ, who literally gave everything for the sake of those around him, for us today, and for those in the future. He died and rose again, allowing us to have eternal life for those who believe. However, Christianity and the story of Jesus is just as hard as it was in the past in understanding how to implement it today. So Paul, an apostle, an early church leader, wrote 1 Corinthians answering this question. And this is what he had to say. To the weak, I became weak to win the weak. I've become all things to all people so that by all possible means I might save some. I do all this for the sake of the gospel that I may share in its blessings. So here, prior to this little bit, Paul's talking about becoming like the Romans, becoming like the Jews, becoming like anybody by all possible means just to relate to them. So you might understand this as Paul's actually trying to become someone else completely. But in reality, when we look into this further, it says a little bit more. It's telling us to be intentionally in a community of people. So this is you allowing to let yourself walk with other people, to kind of see them side by side, be in connection, and being completely open to the opportunities to talk and represent Christ. So in other words, look to the person next to you. Now, some of you might be Christians, some of you might not actually know God yet or don't really know where you stand. But each person has a different story, each person has a different need, but it all comes under the cross. And so this may seem a little bit more complicated than it is. So people don't exactly understand the gospel from the exact same emphasis, point of view, or lens that you exactly see it. Now, some of you might be thinking right now, how am I supposed to know what to say if someone doesn't see it the same way I do? Or how do I know, as I explain the gospel, how do I not hurt someone? And so, firstly, it starts with a conversation. It begins with connection. It begins with actually getting to know someone and who they are. And having that conversation is essential, but the big question is, what if I don't know what to say? And so having the conversation about Jesus isn't hard because we tell what we believe, but we should also not pretend that we know all the answers if we really don't. So be honest in what you know, be who you are, and be open to discussions with other people. Focus on the task at hand by showing who you are in Christ and how that makes a difference, rather than pointing out to someone, this is how you're wrong, or this is what you're missing. So Christianity presents a gift to man, better than anything else, eternal life through Jesus. And we are not left to live out the rest of our lives keeping the knowledge to ourselves, but we're actually told to give it and show the blessing to other people. So as people, we're all in different circles. You can reach someone I can't. Someone else can reach people that you can't. We're all called to be ready and open to conversations with others. And this can look like your actions. This can look in intentional conversations or just creating relationship with people and getting to know who they are, showing the love of Christ. And so we're all left standing here to be open to the need. We're here open. We're here to be ready. We're here to be intentional, presenting Jesus to people in the best and most attainable way that we can.
How my community has changed as I have been developing as a Christian has changed for the better, and I say this because I was an online viewer and I realized that I was missing a sense of community. So it wasn't until I came to the project in person where I was able to actually make new friends, and throughout making these new friends, I then was able to formulate a sense of community for myself. And what is so amazing about that is I'm doing it with people that are striving for the same goal, which is to strengthen their faith and live a life just as Jesus did for himself when he was here.
Having been born in India and raised in Abu Dhabi, UAE, my friend circle was made up of non-Christians. Though I was born in a Christian family, I was not able to practice my faith well. I was surrounded by friends who did not share my beliefs, and I wasn't able to have deeper conversations with them. It was pretty much just shallow talk. My faith growing up felt like a solo journey. However, I still put my faith in God and trusted that He was teaching me about the different worldviews and the types of people so that I could grow my faith, and so that one day He might bring me to a community that I can feel connected to. I moved to Edmonton for university, and I met one of the leaders from P2C, which is a Christian group on campus. He was very welcoming, and I could see the love of Jesus just inviting me. I met a lot of friends who shared my beliefs, and they introduced me to the project. I still remember the day I met the worship pastor Brett, and how we instantly had a connection, and I felt like I had a brother. Now I have an ocean of friends who I met through small groups, pro sports, you name it, and Jesus is at the center of it all.
Guys, that was Ruth and Sharu. They're answering the question, how has your community changed as you develop as a Christian? Which is awesome. I love hearing from you guys. Okay, so one of the things that I really noticed about myself as a result of COVID, I'm just going to blame COVID from here on out, was that my capacity for social interactions went down a little bit. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Like as we started to come out of quarantine life, sort of, I noticed that, okay, I love people, I need people, I miss being around people. But then when I was again, it was kind of tiring. Like there was this adjustment period where I had to get like reacquainted with people again for long periods of time. But even if we leave COVID out of this for a second, let's just admit, okay, as a whole, people can be just a little tiring at times. Like whether you are extroverted, you're introverted, whatever Enneagram number you are, there are still times, I would say, we could all agree, people can be just a little challenging, maybe a little frustrating, or just awkward, or just complicated at times. The church is no exception to this, okay? You and I are no exception to this. No one is like a peach to be around all the time. I don't buy it. But when it comes to like people and relationships, I think that one of the biggest and scariest lies that I think any of us can buy into is that we actually don't need each other very much. Like we can do this on our own. Or like maybe like it's our pride or like past heartbreak from a broken friendship or relationship that convinces us that, okay, yeah, I can manage on my own. Or it might even be easier not to have to rely on other people. And when we believe that, that is when we will hit a wall. Because if you are a person living on planet Earth, then you need people. And we say it around here quite a bit. You need people, but people also very much need you. Because one of the most basic, essential human needs that both the Bible and philosophers like Plato can agree on is that we need love. In some capacity, we need love. And it comes in all different forms. But love can only be met and found within community. Like that's how we're wired. We are wired for relationships with one another. Like whether that's family or that's like a mentor in your life or dating or marriage or friends, like we need each other. And on top of that, like our biggest opportunity for our own personal growth that actually depends on our relationships with other people. We won't become the people that we like hope to become just by ourselves. Like we can't get there on our own. Because we need people to like challenge us, to encourage us, to like hold us accountable, or at least help us get there. So there's a verse in the book of Hebrews, it's in the New Testament. It actually tells us how we can do this. So Hebrews 10. It says, "Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near." Him being God. Like this verse tells us how. Like it tells us, okay, we need to support and encourage each other in a world that, let's be honest, like it requires a lot of perseverance at times. Like as Christians, we need to keep showing up for each other relationally. Like that's how we love each other and the world around us, by showing up for one another. Like we show love by like very practically meet the needs of people around you. Welcome people into your life or into your home when it's legal again. But guys, like don't overthink this part, because we can do this for each other in very practical ways as the church. Like I can even think of times in my own life where I was just tired, or it was just a really like long week or a challenging week, and like a friend called me up and was like, "Hey, we're going out. I know you had a long week, it was a tough week, but you're not staying home. Like I want you to come." And there are times when we need that. Like we need people to like pull us along, or like encourage us, or push us outside of our comfort zone. Because as the church, that is how we can show up for each other. But okay, if you're here in your spot, you're like, yeah, I don't really have friends who encourage me or love me or show up for me. Okay, then I'd say two things to you. First, are you surrounding yourself with the right kind of people? Like, are your friends, or at least some of them, actually going in a direction that you want to go in? Like, do they bring you closer to God, or do they push you further away from him? And are they actually the people, like, do you want to do life with these people, even 5 years from now? If your answer is no, okay, well, that says a lot, first of all. Because if you're only surrounded by unhealthy people or unhealthy relationships, okay, it might be time to pursue some new or healthy relationships or friendships. Guys, join a small group. It's not too late, okay? Talk to me after. But the second thing I would say to you is start being that person for someone else. Like, rather than waiting for someone to encourage you, to love you, to support you, first be that person for someone else. Like, invest in someone else. Invest your time with them and see what happens. Because, man, like, the church could make an incredible impact by, like, simply showing up for each other relationally. So the next time you think that you don't really need to rely on someone else, or that you feel like, yeah, I can keep going on my own, challenge those thoughts. Like, challenge yourself to reach out to someone, talk to someone, or do that for someone else. Again, invite people into your life. Like, who can you show love to? How can you show up for them? Who can you welcome in? Because there's incredible power in community that none of us are immune to. And as Christians, it is our love for each other. That is what we should be known for. And that is our challenge, like, to welcome people in and then to model that love for other people.
So this summer I got to work at a camp called Shiloh, where we work with low-income and at-risk youth and kids who just want to experience camp for the summer. It was a really awesome experience that I got to have, going out there and getting to lead them and getting to love them. The kids who are usually not loved at home, they got to come to camp and experience God's love and our love. It was actually really cool. I only ever went out there for a week in 2019, and then I fell in love with it and how God's hand is over all of it. And yeah, I ended up working out there all summer this summer, and now I'm continuing to work there part-time all year round, getting to connect with the kids still.
How I've taken opportunities to better the world around me is by pushing myself out of my comfort zone to participate in volunteering as well as donating, and also just standing up for things that I believe in, even if I'm standing alone with the strength of God.
So the idea of benefiting the world around us. For some of us, it may seem like a more difficult kind of question to answer, especially in these times. So A, we aren't really supposed to be close to anyone, but B, like, what are you supposed to do as a person, as a student, as an employee, as just a person with a bunch of labels and a bunch of responsibilities? The world is so big, and sometimes it seems like what small difference we do make, we can't actually see. And even the grand scheme of things of serving others and Christ, it seems like such a big job for one person. And so we look to Matthew 25, and we're presented with something that actually allows us to understand how this is possible. And so Jesus has just now explained that he's the king whom everyone has been waiting for, and this is what it says. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me. Then the righteous answered him, Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you? Thirsty or give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in? Or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you? So Jesus presents himself as being clothed, as being given a drink, given food, being taken care of, and being befriended. Now, to those who would be recognized as lesser than, so the Christians, they're given the opportunity to actually serve the king. Now, this would be an honor in such a way, but there's still a bit of an issue left. The righteous, who are the Christians, are kind of left with, how? How is this even possible? There's no moment, there's no recollection, there's no acknowledging that this had actually happened to any of them. So that's like if I was saying that I helped Billie Eilish make her next new album. That'd be pretty awesome. I would enjoy that. But even more than that, I helped her find room and board, helped her find security, food, and helped her find a place in Jasper where she'd actually go on to make that next album. So A, how would I not remember that? B, like, I didn't even know she knew Alberta or Jasper even existed, so that's just surprising to me. And C, I don't think I'd walk away without fangirling a little bit, getting an autograph, and having something to actually have for myself. So many people today actually have the goal of being famous or doing whatever they can to get there. And here we see the righteous people, so the Christians, recognize the ultimate goal is to actually serve the king. Now, however, placed some 2,000 years later, how is that possible? Let alone the people actually closest to Jesus asking the exact same question. The how, the when, the where are completely excluded, as there's no physical help. It's just done. He's served. So here in verse 40, we're actually painted a picture of how it's possible. So it says, the king will reply, truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me. So here Jesus kind of flipped the script. He doesn't say, how could you not figure this out? He doesn't say, do this to get a mass following. He doesn't say this to make a viral video. He doesn't say this so you'll actually look good to everyone else. He doesn't say this that I need you to get to a certain point, a certain standard before I actually accept you. No, he doesn't say that at all. Jesus says that we should serve the least of us, not for anything except to serve Christ. And I might have relieved you for a second. You're like, okay, finally, I know how that's actually possible after 2,000 years. But that doesn't fully answer everything. We don't know who the least of these are and what exactly do they look like. And so we find our answer actually from our motivations. So as Christians, we're presented with the need to serve Christ in every capacity possible. He's not only our motivation, but he's also our example. Jesus was continually surrounding himself with people whom the rest of the society viewed as outcast or completely unworthy to even talk to or even befriend. And now we're left in that specific placement. We're left to present to the world who Jesus is and to serve him well. And it's also shown through the examples that he gave, but he also gave us a guideline and a presentation of actually how it's possible to impact people. So the least of these, the people we impact, is presented in many ways in the world. The church has actually created much impact to help these individuals. So we see this as feeding the hungry. We see this in relief tactics. We see this in churches helping communities in the way that they best know how. However, to us, many of us look at these things and we're like, dang, that's too difficult. That's too daunting. I don't know how the heck I'm ever going to be able to get there. So we're stuck with the, I know what to do, but we don't actually know how to do it. So, who are the least of these to you and me? The least of these aren't just the first people that come to mind, the homeless, maybe some kids who come from rough homes. They're essentially others in their time of need. It's that easy. Others in their time of need. Whether that be giving someone food, clothes, maybe it's just being hospitable to someone in these times because they don't have anyone else to talk to. Maybe it's actually spending your own time to actually work in your community with different organizations or just providing them something that you know that they need. As students, people at work, we can make everything seem like we're the busiest people in the world. We don't have any time on our hands. But by human nature, we're just selfish. But we're called to serve in whatever means we actually have. Now, we might not be able to check off all the boxes and be like Mother Teresa. But the first step is actually being aware and intentional in serving. The second is using what resources you do have to impact those around us. So serving is not only for serving others, but it's ultimately to serve Christ.
So I feel like it's my friends, it's the pastors, it's the gospel. I think all of that has kind of challenged me. I wasn't raised Christian. I wasn't my family wasn't brought up Christian. I was raised very much agnostic, I guess. I knew that there was a higher power, but I think like as I come to discover my faith journey and just discover who God is, it's really just been everybody. And I think a big part of that is just like, Ching, read the Bible more. Ching, read this more. And by understanding the fact that we all love God and we all love Jesus, I think that just grows my faith and who I am. I think I don't mind being challenged. I don't mind that sort of commitment to God. I think everybody challenges me in some way.
The people who have challenged me most in my faith are my youth leaders here at Hope City. I went to youth from grades 7 to 12, and they are the people who pushed me the most and taught me the most and influenced my faith and my life the most. I wouldn't be who I am without my 2 youth leaders here. One way we can all be a godly example to others is by not shying away from difficult conversations and facing them dead on. And when we don't know the answers, it's okay to go ask someone for help and for some advice. It's also important that we love others regardless of what their faith is or if they have any. And if they aren't in the church, to love them even more, because that's what God called us to do.
For myself, I feel like I love people. And I think by showing the way that God has impacted my life and by showing the way that God has shaped who I am in the last 4 years, ever since becoming Christian, I think that's kind of just how I demonstrate who God is to me. I think that's how I become a godly example to others. I know that for myself, I could choose to judge people. I could choose to hate on people who might not necessarily share the same values and beliefs, but I don't. I think one of the biggest things is loving people. I think that's how I show that. And I think that's how I become an example of who I think God has meant for me to be.
Guys, that was Ching and Chloe. It was so good. Thanks for sharing, guys. That was awesome. Okay. Did you guys ever grow up like idolizing someone? Like, was there someone, like a person, maybe there's for you now, like a celebrity or your mom, whoever, either one, who like when you saw them, you're like, that's who I want to be like when I grow up. Or I wish I was more like that person. Like maybe you do, maybe you don't. I personally can't like pinpoint one single person who I was like, that's who I want to be like. Like there are certain qualities that people have that I wish I had more of. Like I see that in my mom or my dad, some of my friends, my coworkers. But like even when I think of my own faith, my own walk with God, there hasn't been like one person who has made all of this difference. And honestly, I think that's a good thing. I'm actually really grateful for that, because there's been more than a few people who have like challenged me and encouraged me, and they played some really critical roles at different times in my life. So in Hebrews chapter 13, it says this: "Remember your leaders who taught you the word of God. Think of all the good that has come from their lives and follow the example of their faith." So there's 2 layers to this verse that we're kind of unpack. The first layer, it's more obvious, this one. It talks about the people that you are looking up to in your life. Like the people who are like a few steps ahead of you, who are navigating their life well, or they're pursuing Jesus like with intention and purpose. People that you can look to as an example. So for the church to grow and have impact, and remember when I say the church, I mean you and me. It's not this building, it's the people. So if we as the church have any hope of having like a positive impact on the people around us, the world around us, then one of the wisest and I'd say most critical things that you and I need to do is surround ourselves with people who reflect Jesus. Okay, that may or may not sound obvious to you. But when we don't do this, like when we don't have people around us who we can learn from, people who we can like ask our questions to, people who we can go to for advice, people who will like share their mistakes with us in hopes that we won't make the same ones. When we don't have that, that is when we will suffer. Like individually, but also like the church as a whole. Like we'll end up going probably in a direction that we never wanted to go in, make mistakes and cause extra pain that we didn't want to or need to. Okay, so I want you to ask yourself, who are you actually surrounding yourself with? Like, who are you looking up to? Who is currently challenging you in your life? And actually, like, name them. Think about them. Do you know who they are? Do you have those people in your life? If you're not sure, that's fine. That's okay. But start looking. Pay attention to those around you or pray about it. Who can you start learning from? Okay, and don't look for someone who is like perfect or without fault, okay? No one is. We are broken people leading broken people. So be careful not to place people on a pedestal, especially above God. Like, he needs to be the one at the center. He is the one that we should shape our lives around. He's the one that we're following. But who is walking in that same direction ahead of you? And once you can name a few of these people, talk to them. Like, be intentional to meet with them, to learn from them. Because as followers of Jesus, we need to do this. We need to make ourselves stronger with this. Okay, there's a second layer we also have to talk about. Second layer of this verse is about the people who are looking up to you. As followers of Jesus, none of us are off the hook, okay? This verse is not just for the pastors or the leaders, but as Christians, guys, how we live matters because other people are watching. Like, what kind of example are you setting? Like, who's currently looking to you? If I had to guess, I'm sure a lot of people would be like, no one. No one should be looking to me. Hopefully one day, but no, I'm not there yet. Or you could be on like the exact opposite end, and you're like, no, I got this. Come follow my example. I know what I'm doing. But wherever you land with this, you need to come to terms with the fact that, yeah, people are watching. If you're going to say you're a Christian, you are setting an example. Whether it's a positive example or not, the choices you're making matters. And guys, I don't say this just to like freak you out, but if you and I act like what we do and how we live doesn't matter, okay, then we're going to cause a lot of damage. More than we realize, not only to ourselves, but again, to the people around us. You know, Christians can be known as people who are more judgmental or hypocritical. And that is a tough reputation to be up against. But there's this verse in the Bible in 1 Corinthians where Paul, I think John mentioned him earlier, Paul, he was a follower of Jesus. He wrote a good chunk of the New Testament, second half of the Bible. And he said this. He said, "Follow me as I follow Christ." Guys, that is a bold statement to say about yourself. Because it's also a daily challenge, like for each of us. In your own public life, when people are watching, or in your private life, when you think no one is watching, can you still say, yeah, follow me as I follow Christ? Imitate what I do as I imitate what Jesus did. And can you say that? Like, does your life bring you closer to Jesus, or does it push others further away? The only people who can answer that question is you and God. But that question, it should be something that haunts us, but in a good way. Because it should challenge us. Okay, am I living like Jesus? And if others are watching, am I pointing them towards him or away from him? A very significant part of our faith journey is constantly asking ourselves, who is ahead of me that I can learn from? And who is behind me that is learning from me? Well, guys, that was 4 questions that we went through that reflected the church, what it can do, hopefully the positive impact that it can have, we as the church. And you got to hear from your peers, each other, about like how they're sharing their faith, how their community has changed as they've become a Christian, how they take opportunities to better the world, and who's challenging them in their faith, and what they are doing themselves to be examples. Guys, our answers to these questions like barely skim the surface. But our hope is that it gave you a place to start. We have a mandate as the church to make it what God intended it to be. And that can be a lot of pressure. That can be intimidating at times. And we will fail at times. But start with one. Start with one of these things, one of these questions that maybe stuck out to you. Maybe something that challenged you. What is one thing? Because not only are we responsible as followers of Jesus, but the Bible says the world will know us by our love and how we love one another. So rather than only being known for what we are against, how can we live in a way where we're actually known for our love? Because guys, like if each of us owned up to our responsibility to be the church as God commanded and to bring hope to those around us, like who knows what kind of like ripple effects that would have or what kind of impact that would have. But that has to start with us as the church. Let me pray for you guys. God, thank you that we can come together and gather, and just what a privilege that is to be free to gather together, God, and to learn about you. And sometimes this mandate to be your church can be hard to navigate and to know what that means for us personally. God, I pray that you would help us to check our hearts, to not do things out of pride or selfish ambition, but to be who you've called us to be, God. To love people in very small and big ways, whatever ways you put in front of us, God. So I pray that each of us would, from this point out, know how to reach someone in our lives right now, how to welcome someone in, how to love them, what that looks like, God. But we need your help in this. Doing this without you is doing it for nothing. God, so I pray that you would guide us through this. We ask this in your name. Amen.
Why don't you guys go ahead and stand with us here for worship?
I love you, Lord. Oh, your mercy never fails me. And all my days I've been held in your hands. From the moment that I wake up until I lay my head, I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I love your voice. You have led me through the fire and darkest night. You are close like no other. I've known you as a father, I've known you as a friend, and I have lived in the goodness of God. Sing all my life. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so, so good. With every breath that I am able, goodness of God. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Sing your goodness. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. With my life laid down, I surrender now. I give you everything. Your goodness is running after, it's running after me. Yeah. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. Sing it out all my life. All my life you have been faithful. All my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God. And all my life you have been faithful. And all my life you have been so good. With every breath that I am able, I will sing of the goodness of God. I will sing of the goodness of God. So we're gonna sing one more song tonight, and this next song was actually written by one of the pastors at our church here, and it's called Exodus. And he kind of wrote the song about just some of the stuff he was going through at the time, and he was really dealing with a heavy level of anxiety, and so the words in the song just kind of talk about how even though we may deal with really hard things, when you decide to follow after Jesus and be a Christian, it doesn't mean that things just all of a sudden get easy for you. You still deal with really heavy stuff, and in the song it just kind of talks about how even if we go through seasons of depression or loneliness or anxiety or whatever that may look like for you, the reality is that it doesn't change the fact that God is he's still good and he's still faithful. And I think the amazing thing about when we choose to follow after Jesus with our lives, the amazing thing is that when we go through these really low kind of valley moments of life, we don't have to go through it alone anymore, but we have a friend, we have someone who is gonna, even at times when it feels like we need someone to completely carry us because we just have nothing left to give and we feel like there's just no hope.
The reality is, the Bible says that even in those moments that God, it says that he's near the brokenhearted. He's near the humble of spirit. Like he's near us in those moments. And oftentimes that's when we feel him the closest, is in those dark, heavy times. And so if you're here right now or watching online and you kind of came in tonight feeling that way, of just feeling like a heaviness, my hope and my prayer is that as we would sing this song tonight, that you would maybe begin to feel God begin to carry you, and that you would begin to reach out to him with whatever you're facing, and that as you pray that prayer of crying out to him for help, I hope that you would just begin to experience his peace and his joy and his love, because he's there, and all we have to do is just reach out to him. So I just want to encourage you to do that as we worship together.
Where would I be without your love? Where would I be without your grace? You lifted me up upon a rock and carried me to a safer place. With an ocean of fear in front of me, you have split the sea in two, and through all my anxious thoughts and wavering, I can always count on you. Where would I be without your love? Where would I be without your grace? Like rivers that find their way to sea, God, you have made a way for me. And with an ocean of fear in front of me, you have split the sea in two, and through all my anxious thoughts and wavering, I can always count on you. Oh God, there you stand. I'm overcome with love again. Your kindness welcomes me in. You have my heart, my God, my friend. Oh God, there you stand. I'm overcome with love again. Your kindness welcomes me in. Oh, you have my heart, my God, and my friend. Oh, you have my heart, my God, my friend. Oh, you have my heart, my God, my friend. God, my friend. Yeah, my God, my friend. Oh, oh God, there you stand, overcome with love again. Your kindness welcomes me in. Oh, you have my heart, my God, my friend. Oh, God, there you stand, overcome with love again. Your kindness welcomes me in. Oh, you have my heart, my God, my friend. Oh, you have my heart, my God, my friend. Oh, you have my heart, my God, my friend. My God, my friend. My God, my friend. My God, my friend. My God, my friend.
Let's just sing that chorus one more time. Sing, oh God.
Oh God, there you stand. I'm overcome with love again. Your kindness welcomes me in. You have my heart, my God, my friend. So you have my heart. You have my heart, my God, my friend. Oh, you have my heart, my God, my friend. My God, my friend.
So, Father, I just pray for anyone who's here right now who just needs a touch from your Spirit. Anyone who's just feeling really weak right now. Anyone who's feeling really lonely right now, or depressed or anxious. God, I just pray that they would know that they don't have to go through life alone. That you are the truest of friends, that you will not leave us or forsake us, that you are always faithful, that you never let us down, that you are perfectly good. God, I pray that we would just be reminded of that tonight. God, we just thank you for how good you are. We thank you for this time of just getting to sing to you. And it's in your name we pray. Amen. Thanks, guys. You can go ahead and take a seat here.
All right. Well, just before we conclude and head outside and hang out with some fire pits and poutine, have a couple of quick points for you, important information. If you were new tonight, or maybe you just heard something tonight that connected with you, or you just we're trying to connect the dots on what this whole following Jesus thing is. We'd love to have a conversation with you. Following Jesus is the best decision that anyone can ever make in their life, and we want to have that conversation. So if that's you, you can head to theprojectyeg.com/next, and you can talk with a pastor if you have any questions, or if you want to start a relationship, start following a Jesus-based life. We'd love to pray with you. So check that out, and we hope to talk to you soon about that. If you have made it a part of your pattern of giving and serving Jesus, there's a lot of different ways that we do that here at the Project. That's by giving your time and also giving finances. So if you feel like it's something that you want to begin doing and contributing to what Jesus is doing in our city, our dream and our vision is to reach 1% of the young adults in Edmonton, see them make a decision to follow Jesus and call the project their home. And we need to be able to do that through all sorts of different ways, people serving, but also, there's finances involved as well. So if you want to begin doing that, you can head to theprojectyeg.com/links, and there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can begin giving financially and donating to what we're doing, as well as those finances go towards supporting different organizations like Youth Rise and Shiloh and Adira in our city, nonprofits that are working with marginalized communities as well. Just really giving towards what Jesus is doing in our city. I want to give a few more reminders. Spike Ball Tournament, October 16th. That's $5 for a team of 2, but you can still show up if it's just you as a single for $5. That's at Millwoods Park across the street, and you can go to theprojectyeg.com/events for that. And just one more reminder, if you want to get baptized or even just know a little bit more about what it means to get baptized, there is the class, or really more of an info session on baptism that Pastor Amanda is leading across the hallway in the cafe right away here. We are going to hang out now. I just checked it out. The food truck is here. The poutine truck is ready to go. We got the fire pits going. So please don't rush off. Hang out. Put on your jacket. It's a bit chilly, but we got some heat coming from the fire pits. We love to spend some time just hanging out, getting to know you. And if you're newer here on your way out, if you're new or just newer in general, make sure you stop by one of our connection booth tables. There's a big sign right beside it. We have a small gift for you, and we want to get to know your name, a little bit more about you. Enjoy the poutine. Enjoy the time after. We'll see you next week.